some of you might be wondering, Hope, what the heck? Let me explain. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a background of why I went to Texas, what happened, why I'm back. So, my mom has been the only one to raise me. She raised me for 18 years. I had a stepdad, but I didn't know my real dad. And at 18 years old, my mom sent my dad's side of my family graduation announcements for when I graduated high school. And my aunt sent back a letter kind of explaining that she would like to meet me, and my sisters want to meet me, and my cousins want to meet me, and my dad wants to meet me, and so on and so forth. So I said, okay, I have 4 days off in 2 weeks. Can you make it happen? And I got a flight. I met my sisters, met my dad. It was a surreal experience. It was crazy. My dad, who I did not know, my sisters, who are now my best friends, it was crazy. So I slowly went down there a couple times a year and I realized that I wanted to move, and I wanted to move out of Casper, and that was my opportunity to move without having to pay rent and kind of struggle. So I decided that I was going to move in with my dad. About July-ish of last year, we decided to paint my room, and I was going to move in this summer. Like the summer we're in right now. And so we painted my room, got it all set up. The house is a 5-bedroom house. There's 4 upstairs, 1 downstairs. So me and my sisters were each gonna have a room, and then there was gonna be an extra room. Well, fast forward, my dad got a girlfriend, and she decided that she was gonna move in right before I did. So we turned the other bedroom upstairs into her daughter's room. She's 8 years old, and it wasn't that big of a deal, right? I was like, oh, living with like 5 other people, that's kind of rough, but like whatever, right? Well, it was not whatever. Okay. I got there on June 18th. I drove 18 hours on the 17th and the 18th to get down there. And my mom stayed a couple days before she had to come back here. And it honestly, for lack of better words, was miserable. It was like a miserable vacation because I did not feel at home at all. I was really struggling, for one, being away from my mom because my mom is my best friend, but just in general trying to feel at home. And I cried so much. In the last 2 of my videos, you can see me saying like, hey, look at the blood vessels in my eyes. Well, that was from crying every day. My eyes were completely red almost all of the time. I got so depressed because I just felt so unwelcome. And it really sucks because I feel like it kind of damaged a relationship that I could have had with my dad. But honestly, it was terrible. I felt so unwelcome, so unwanted. And like, I told my dad, I was like, okay, also for reference, I'm saying my dad because it's easier to say and like to get the point across. I don't have a dad. I've never had one. It's only been my mom. So I'm just saying that for reference to make it a little bit easier for you guys to understand what's happening. But I told him that I know I'm not his top priority, and I shouldn't be, because My sisters are 14 and 15 years old, and his girlfriend's daughter is 8 years old. I'm 20 years old. I can take care of myself. But when you feel so alone in a house with 5 other people, it's so fucking miserable. I couldn't get anything done because everyone's schedules was so opposite. My dad worked nights. His girlfriend, when she worked, like, they had like opposite schedules, so like one worked, the other one didn't, and vice versa. When she worked, she got up super early, got home super late, like worked all day. He worked all night, and the only times that I was able to like feel like I could get out of my room was when they weren't home. So I sat in my room all the time. That's all I did. And it was so isolating that I just felt alone, even though there was 5 other people in the house. And don't get me wrong, like, I had my sisters and I love my sisters to death, but to feel like you can't even go into the kitchen because you're gonna make too many noises at 12 in the afternoon, it's miserable. It sucks so bad. So I told myself at the very beginning, I was like, I'm just gonna stick it out for a couple months. Let me see how it feels for a couple months. When I decide to go home in December, maybe I'll just fully move home. Well, fast forward, I was still miserable. I literally was there for a month and wanted to rip my head off because I was so miserable. I decided the week before I went to Houston, that I was going to move home. And I actually sat down in my closet because I didn't want to cry and film when everyone was in the house. I sat down in my closet and I cried and I documented everything that I wanted to say. And I'm refilming it. That's why there was no video last week, because I couldn't get myself to post it because it was so sad. It was so sad to look at. Like, I couldn't even get myself to edit it. It was just miserable. I thought that leaving my hometown at 20, I was going to feel free and I was going to feel like I could accomplish so many different things and do what I wanted to do, because I wasn't having the closed-minded people here to tell me not to. What I soon realized is I was just running away from my problems. My problems of being insecure about starting a YouTube channel, about posting on TikTok, about expressing what I wanted to do with my life, because people here don't understand that. If you come from a small little like conservative town, you know what it's like, and that's what it's like here. And don't get me wrong, I don't like it here and I don't want to stay here forever, but I couldn't move there. Honestly, if I was financially stable, I probably would have moved out and I probably would have been okay. But it's okay to move out and come back. I really want to get that point across, because everyone all over social media is like, move out in your 20s, move out in your 20s. Yeah, do it. If you can afford it. And if you will be happy. Because it's not fun being in a house with 5 other people when you're not happy. You don't really have a place to just let it out even. I had to go to my car to cry. I had to leave my house to cry. Because it felt like a burden, honestly. I don't want to feel like a burden. That's shitty. The whole situation was shitty. It's very toxic. I'm not gonna go into too much detail of like why it was toxic. That's kind of a different topic. But it was just very toxic. Excluding my sisters. My sisters, angels. They're amazing. I love them. I'm actually going to San Antonio in a little over a week with my boyfriend, which, update, I have a boyfriend. I do, and you guys get to meet him soon. Soon. Probably when I vlog my San Antonio trip is when I'll introduce him to YouTube. I haven't introduced him to anything really, so you'll probably be the first. Because I love you guys. I love YouTube. I know that my videos don't get like super big traction. I don't care. I love YouTube. I like sitting down and talking to a camera because sometimes like it's a little bit easier. That's here. I'll show you. This is the video. As you can tell, I was in my closet just crying. And I was going to post it, but it was just so sad to look at. And I, yes, want to show people like that the internet can be like real and raw, but that's vulnerable. That's vulnerable as shit, dude. I sat there and cried and poured my heart out into a camera. That's not for everyone to see. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be as raw and real as possible with you guys and explaining why I moved back home and trying to help people like who are going through a similar situation feel okay. But it wasn't okay. I wasn't okay filming that. And I just wanted to get my feelings out. Sorry, sidetrack. Anyways, I moved back on August 6th. I drove all 18 hours in one day because all I wanted to do was get home. And it felt so good. You know when you go on a vacation and you're like, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation because it was just so tiring and like so all the time? That's what that felt like, but it was miserable. I wasn't in my home. I was sleeping in a house. It was like I was in an Airbnb with other people. It sucked so bad. I missed my mom. God, my mom is my best friend. And I miss my friends, and I miss just feeling a sense of security. I need a support system, and my support system down there, I told myself that it was good. I told myself that, yeah, I have a whole like side of the family down there, like I have a whole support system. No, those people are strangers to me still. I've seen them 10 times in my life. They're family, but they're not family. Like, I have never been able to create a relationship with my dad like I have my mom. I've never been able to create a relationship with my aunt down there like I have my aunt up here. Or my grandpa down there like I do my grandpa or grandma here. Like, it's not the same. And I needed to feel a little bit of security. I needed to feel a little bit of security. I needed to feel a little bit of comfort. And yes, I know that being uncomfortable is where you grow. But there was so many changes all at once that I literally just could not. I could not even get past the fact that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So honestly, the For the first time in a really, really long time, I've actually felt happy. I've been depressed. I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety for 4 years now, and I've dealt with it a lot. And it's hard. It's really hard. If you deal with it, definitely go talk to someone. I used to go to therapy, and then my therapist quit. She like quit her business. It was her own business, and I loved her, but to me personally, it didn't help. I liked her as a person, but it didn't help. You need to figure out what works for you. I know that so many people say like, oh, the gym isn't therapy. Like, you need to actually go talk to someone. The gym helps. Talking to my camera helps. Talking to supporting people around me helps. Talking to a stranger doesn't help me. And that's okay. If therapy doesn't work for you, that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to work for you. It doesn't have to work for everyone. It does work for some people though, and that's great. That's awesome. But it doesn't work for me. It might not work for you. So if you're feeling anxious, depressed, crazy, if you're feeling anything that you feel like you should be talking to someone about, try it. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But if you can feel yourself going down into a spiral of being more depressed, more anxious, do everything that you can to get out of that situation. Even if it's moving back to your hometown that you promised yourself you wouldn't come back to. Because coming home after you've been living in a house for a month and a half is the most amazing feeling. I've never felt so content with a decision than I ever have in my entire life than I did when I decided to move back home. I was so excited to move. But not everything works out. So, just keep this video in the back of your mind if you're going through something similar. Even if it's the opposite, even if it's, I need to move out of my hometown, but I can't, do it. Do it. It might not work, but do it. I did it. I would have never known what it was like if I didn't do it. I loved living away from here. I loved living out of Casper, but the situation just wasn't ideal. If I had an ideal situation where I couldn't afford an apartment, I would probably be perfectly fine. Moral of the story is, do whatever feels right. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You don't have to feel like you need to step into someone else's shoes and do what you think you should be doing. Do what feels right. Because I promise you will thank yourself later. But on that note, I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to say to you guys. It wasn't as like in detail as it could be, but you know, I kind of just want to keep a little bit of my life to myself, not just expose my entire self on the internet. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this helped some of you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.